Hey everybody, it's Master Gallengeist here, bringing you my Hi-Fi Rush perspective. Yeah, so I played this on Steam, and I thought that it was okay. I know you're like, what the fuck? I'm at least getting certain kind of little things so that way I can at least show things off so I can physically do it. It's just a thing that I like to do. But I can understand why this was kind of a weird kind of game where a lot of people liked it because of the kind of price point and also how different it was from Tango Gameworks kind of other things. But this Microsoft strategy on this kind of shit is really fucking annoying, and they pretty much just tanked Tango Gameworks before they were thankfully able to kind of get called back and be able to do, like, get their own independence. So I think we're going to see that a lot because Microsoft does not know how to handle franchises very well within their Xbox stable. We've just been seeing, even though I've had fun with playing certain kind of games with newer kind of iterations, they just don't know what they're doing. And I think if you had given more time and everything for a game kind of like this, for Tango Gameworks, that it would have been better. Now, my things aren't kind of like technical kind of issues. I didn't have it like do any kind of weird crashes or anything. Its technical state on PC was pretty up there. I encountered no issues on that front. Mine was just how the gameplay aspect kind of worked out. Because this is a rhythm beat 'em up. Picture, if you will, taking Bayonetta, Devil May Cry, but you have to do it to a certain kind of beat of what's going on. And that's kind of where I usually kind of got my issues, in that I could get into my own kind of rhythm and flow of what was kind of going on in combat. However, that wouldn't really line up with kind of what the beat is going on, and most of the music was alright. It kind of started sounding kind of samey after a while, but that wasn't really like a big kind of giant issue. I did like that they have certain kind of songs in there, but I only played there and beat it once because I didn't really need to go back and do any of kind of the other things because I've kind of fallen out of my kind of completionist mindset, because a lot of the times most of the completionist mindset kind of things that they do for like achievements or other kind of things are just like fucking annoying and insane now with such a time commitment that it's like, would I rather bang my head against a wall for like untold hours for something that really isn't going to matter, or stick my fucking fist into a light socket and ride the lightning? And when you're like, I would actually take the lightning ride, that's not a good thing. The grind has to be enjoyable as well, and not a giant kind of job commitment. Now, I don't know if that's really the case here. I was just like, I got what I wanted out of this, and I'm done with it. Because I experienced the story, and I like the story. We get introduced to Chai, this dude who's trying to be a rock star. Okay, evidently he has a disabled right arm. I didn't know that. But he goes to Vandalay Technologies to volunteer for Project Armstrong. And, of course, the CEO pretty much has him tasked with being like a garbage collector, but his like music gets fused into him as well with his new arm, and then his trash collecting thing can like magnet up and make his epitomous guitar, and then you just start beating around the Vandalay stuff and the robots and all that. That's your main kind of enemies. You're not really fighting any kind of people until you fight the kind of bosses. Boss design, however, and everything going on in those scenarios works out pretty well. It's kind of an irreverent, kind of funky ass kind of thing where it's like, yeah, fight the corporate asshole overlords. Kale's pretty much using mind control to get people to consume and everything like that, even taking control of his mother with the mind control. And we learned that Peppermint is his sister, and she's like, screw you, fuck this noise, I got this cat, I got these people, we're gonna take your ass down. So we pretty much go through, it follows kind of combat areas and then very light kind of platforming stuff. That's kind of where I got bored the most. I liked fighting in the combat, and I liked the boss battles. Those are really good highlights, but kind of going around is kind of just like, hey, guess what? Here's point A, here's point B. there's not really much to kind of explore, kind of do. I don't mind going from one point to another point, but if it's kind of boring, why didn't you just put me at that other point? Or do some kind of awesome cutscene or some kind of awesome kind of battle thing. With certain kind of aspects with like Bayonetta or Devil May Cry, I kind of would have that, but it wasn't like the overall kind of level of design where it's like, oh, okay, you kind of have some stuff that you can look around and look for. I really like their Easter eggs of having like their HR department with like Sebastian and Joseph robots talking about weird shit and everything. That was kind of cool, and seeing other kind of stuff like that, Easter egg wise, in the game. Chai's whole thing is just like, I don't plan shit, I fucking do weird ass crazy shit. And pretty much launching himself out of cannons and shit, and dealing with these bosses are just like, oh my god. And it's kind of funny, you deal with Rekka first. You need all their passkeys to pretty much learn what's kind of going on before fighting Kale and everything. You fight pretty much a mecha werewolf finance dude, which I'm like, interesting. I'm glad that you made the finance dude a kind of like big ass boss like that. I liked how they pretty much dealt with the Zanzo kind of dude, just pretty much wrecking his budget by having him throw all this kind of shit at you. Oh, that was kind of good. And then getting your team on your side. Macron, who has worked at Vandalay and believes in their message and everything, but doesn't like what Kale has been doing. And then Corsica is another one that they recruit, who's pretty much the head of security, finds out everything about Spectra, and is like, fuck this noise. Let's see. Oh, they're also mysterious doors. So, the thing is, everybody gets their jobs back at the end. Chai gets a job, even though he's not really getting paid. Let's see here. I don't know, they investigate these doors with a second Spectra unit. Let's see. Then you fight a replica of Kale. A cleaning robot accidentally unplugs the power plug. And then Chai's like, the problem's solved, and leaves a warning note not to touch the plug. And we'll hopefully see some more of this in the future. I think it's definitely a nice kind of launchpad game for them to have a various different kind of stable. Even though I like the Evil Within series from Tango Gameworks, I like that they have something like this. Now, my main kind of hang-up was just how I really didn't find the beat that well, and that's a more on me thing, and also kind of the sparsity of the levels. You kind of got your typical kind of ones, but this is a smaller game, so I'm not going to completely and utterly hammer it, because it pretty much launched at $30. And for $30 and what it kind of has with the replayability and everything, I saw a lot of people talking about this as like an old PS2 kind of level game, and it does that design very well at a good price point. So I'm not going to completely knock it because of what design space it inhabits. I don't like that game design kind of thing. It's just kind of a little bit too sparse, and yeah, you kind of can explore, but it's kind of it leads to more kind of boredom. That's my thing. You tighten that up a little bit, you either kind of get rid of it or make it a little bit more streamlined just to get to the gameplay, because you can argue that it's gameplay, but you're not really exploring that much around and getting much other than certain kind of little things, and then just kind of running back through and seeing if it kind of respawned and getting other kind of things as well, before you kind of have to play more through getting all the rest of your partners so that you can use your abilities to unlock other kind of areas. But I definitely think that it's nice to have a game studio should have a nice stable. Where, now this gets into, okay, this is really going to be strange, but this is going to be getting into, like, how the industry kind of works, because at this point, it's pretty much like, you get a hit, you get acquired, and you're able to have money, but then they just pump your ass for those kind of things. You should have a stable full of different games and different franchises, so that way you got people working on things that they're passionate about and can do quality on. Like, you got your people that want to do your Evil Withins, you got your people that want to do your Hi-Fi Rushes. They're different kind of games with different game designs and philosophies, but they're things that can still work within that game studio. BioWare is another example where they would have stables of, like, your KOTOR, your Mass Effect, your Dragon Age. EA doesn't fucking get that, and of course we get the complete and utter mismanagement of said franchises and the studio to try and force them into live service games, and doing attrition and getting rid of anybody and everybody that could have institutional knowledge. Again, more of an industry thing, which I'm glad Tango Gameworks was somehow able to kind of fucking dodge, because Microsoft's like, I'm gonna follow your lead, EA, and it's like, don't do that, please. Yeah, but we're gonna buy Activision too. Well, ain't that a bitch? It's funny. I was like, okay. I at first was like, all right, I'm leery of the monopolistic practices, but we could get Bobby Kotick out of there and it could be a little bit better. And then we just see them jump on the train of AI and like, oh, well, fuck. Hopefully the people can like go out, create their own studios, and do some better shit. I know that sounds kind of rambly, but it focuses on how everybody was saying a lot of good stuff about this, and that this was supporting the Game Pass subscription model, and then Microsoft's like, nah, we gonna just fucking kill this shit. It's like, you need these kinds of games. And it's funny, you're probably like, but you didn't have enjoyment out of it. I enjoyed it well enough. Like, there are different kind of levels of enjoyment. There are certain ones that I really look forward to that I'm like, yeah, this is going to be a real thing that really sits with me and does a lot of kind of cool shit. And I'm like, this is a game. Like, when somebody's like, what do you hold up for a game? It's like, this. It's designed to be fun, stupid, weird shit, and goes with it. Now, my issues are just pretty much subjective and a little bit of like game design of how it kind of works. I overall enjoyed the characters, the setting, the art style, the music of what was kind of going on, even though it kind of got a little bit stale after a while. But it's a game. It's not built to bilk money out of things, be a forever thing, be something that I like play constantly. Like I said it, like fighting completion is stuff that I've had to do myself. I set it down and I'm like, I'm good. I had fun with it. Let's see what else is out there. And see what other kind of games I'm going for. It's like, good. I like that a game can have that kind of stopgap. Like, multiple kind of places for that. Dragon Quest XI kind of has that too. Where you can finish the base game, but then there's more shit to do to actually complete it to 100% completion. And I love doing that twice, and I'm probably going to do it a third time because playing it on PC and seeing how that goes. But that's a different kind of one, and has different kind of criteria to go for. You don't judge a hot dog like a filet mignon. You don't judge a fish's ability to climb a tree. That's not what it's there for. A hot dog has a different objective than a filet mignon. Though it would be interesting to see a filet mignon hot dog. But again, that has a different objective than a hot dog. Because a hot dog, you're like, what am I looking for? What am I doing? This is still good. I would still recommend this to those who like action beat-em-ups. I would really actually recommend this for people that are trying to get people into Devil May Cry, Bayonetta, Ninja Gaiden, Onimusha, kind of. Onimusha's a little bit weird, but it depends upon how kind of action-y you're kind of going for. It'll get you into that kind of thing. And I'm not saying that like it's a baby game or whatnot. No, that's not my objective with saying that. My objective is, it is a good learning experience to understand how these kind of games work. Those are always games that you really have to find for, where you're like, okay, what kind of game would help me get a real understanding of turn-based kind of combat? Well, you've got a lot of your old school Final Fantasies. You've got your Dragon Quests. You've got your Personas. And understanding and unlocking that, though, even though they have their own different kind of flavors. What kind of turn-based are you kind of going for? I'm not... And that's the thing. Do you want to show the mature kind of turn-based ones? Then you go your more kind of Persona route. Do you want more kind of ones that won't completely and utterly make a kid shit themselves? You get your Dragon Quests. You get your Final Fantasies. Depending upon what kind of entry you're going for on either kind of respective ones. But, like, it gets them into that and understand it, and it's like, okay, do you like this? Do you not like this? And then you start tweaking. You're like, alright, what kind of story are you going for? Do you want your more kind of epic fantasy, kind of Lord of the Rings kind of style? Or are you going for more mature, kind of modern shit, going back and forth with that? This is just a nice kind of one that gets you linked up with kind of present day, fighting corporate assholes. It's like, yep, alright, that works. And it's got enemies that are robots, so you're not really dealing with as much blood and guts and gore, even though you do fight and knock the shit out of kind of humans to get their pass keys to understand what's kind of going on. But yeah, it's funny. I was more of like, I had enjoyment with this, but I wouldn't recommend it, but talking and understanding my perspective, I would recommend it to, like, check it out and see what's kind of going on. Now, if you didn't like it, totally get it. There's a lot of different kind of issues that probably line up with what I've got here. But if you love it, that I understand as well. And, like, don't let anything I'm saying harsh that shit. If you love this and it's one of your favorite games, that's fucking awesome. And I am happy for you. That's cool. Enjoy this shit. And tell other people about this shit and be like, yeah, it should be a good time to play it. So, those are my opinions on the game. Tell me what you guys think in the comments below. If you liked it, if you didn't like it, if you agree with me, if you disagree with me. Also, like and subscribe, and I hope you have a good day.